Welcome to the A2 Exemplar. NAPLAN has long been a cause of stress of many parents and students alike, but NAPLAN has far-reaching effects outside the classroom. Testing is needed to ensure that there is accountability, transparency, and room for growth and improvement for cohorts of students. Individuals sit the test, but whole groups of data are analysed. Assessment of your child is not purely based on this test. When assessing, we use a wide range of assessments which are varied, timely, and provide us with a holistic picture of your child. The concepts tested and assessed by NAPLAN should not be something new or different to your children. Being directly aligned to the Australian curriculum, this assessment is testing skills which have been taught in the classroom. Students are given the opportunity to use various reading comprehension strategies, writing in various genres, developing their understanding of language structures and features in preparation for the test. Literacy concept comprehension. Within our example test, you can see that students need to use clues from the text to infer meaning. It does not directly state that the captain of the ship needs to be able to stitch wounds, but they can draw this conclusion from the connection between sewing skills and injured in the line of duty. Comprehension skills are built upon from years 3 to 5, and as you can see, there is a substrand within the strand of literacy entitled comprehension strategies. Students begin in year 3 by developing their understanding of literal and inferred comprehension. This is further extended in grades 4 and 5 by extending their ability to analyse and reorganise clues from multiple sources. Literacy concept identifying purpose. Being able to identify purpose is important as it helps us to identify why a text has been written and develop concepts such as bias and persuasive language. Within the Captain's Chronicle, students are being assessed on their ability to identify that this is a persuasive text. This will be achieved by analysing the language as well as the layout. In grade 3, students are able to identify the audience and purpose of persuasive texts. Students learn to analyse language devices, text features, and elements of layout. Literacy concept, language devices. In our example, students are asked to identify what the word backbone means here in this context. Students understand that the word is not taken from its literal meanings and understands that words can often have dual meanings and purposes in different contexts. By developing the students' familiarity with words helps to strengthen their ability to comprehend. The Australian curriculum shows us that students develop an awareness of wordplay in grade 4 and develop their use of sound devices and imagery in grade 5. Students develop their understanding of how authors use these techniques to enhance their message. Assessment across years 3, 4 and 5. An assessment of reading and writing should provide the teacher with an insight into what the students can do and how the teacher is going to help the student move to the next stage of their learning. During this process, open discussion can occur and learning goals can be set. Assessment in the middle to upper school should be student-centred, and the students should be involved in the process of setting goals for themselves. During conferencing, explicit feedback is given to students regarding their progress. Reading assessment, probe. A probe reading assessment is designed to gain insight into a reader's comprehension skills and reading behaviours with the purpose of determining teaching strategies. Probe is an effective assessment for students both middle and upper primary as it provides the teacher with evidence of which comprehension strategies are being used effectively and which need further attention. This data is important as it allows for flexible, needs-based grouping of students with similar needs. Students who need to work on comprehension strategy of reorganisation could be placed together in a working group where the focus was on practicing this skill. Probe assesses both fiction and non-fiction text. This is an advantage as many students find that they have a natural ability to comprehend one better than the other. This provides the teacher insight into not only which comprehension strategies need further development, but also what kinds of texts and genres could be used. A limitation of probe is that the test can be administered in many different ways. It can be given as an informal reading inventory, silent reading comprehension, listening comprehension, or written comprehension. The teacher should ensure that whichever way the test is given, it should be consistent for the whole class to ensure the quality of the results. Writing assessment, a moderated sample using NAPLAN marking guide. Assessing writing can prove difficult for teachers without the right framework as a support. The NAPLAN marking guide provides teachers with a consistent approach to writing, which aligns with the Australian curriculum standards. The NAPLAN marking guide comes complete with marked annotated samples where the assessment rubric has been used. These examples provide the teacher with evidence of what writing looks like at that level and why it was being allocated those marks. It's particularly effective in the middle to upper years of primary, where writing is more detailed and complex. A limitation of this kind of marking guide is that it's still open to teacher interpretation and judgment. It is dependent on the teacher's perception of how well each of the criteria was achieved. Moderating with colleagues would be recommended in this process. Speaking and listening assessment, accountable talk with rubric. Maximising the benefits of classroom talk goes beyond just organising for talk opportunities. The quality of talk is important, and accountable talk refers to the type of talk which moves learning forward. Helping others to understand involves paraphrasing ideas, rephrasing for others, and actively listening to ensure that you build upon others' contributions. Accountable talk is a genuine discussion, which could be used in conjunction with a reading or writing lesson. It is effective because it is authentic and students have the ability to discuss ideas without the need for scripting. A rubric would be needed in order to assess these kinds of conversations effectively. This should align directly with the standards outlined in the curriculum. This stage of assessment would be based on teachers' interpretation of this. This is a limitation of the assessment, as teacher judgment will vary. Reporting tool, student-led conferences. Student-led conferences have been used for many years as a means of supporting the partnership between the student, their parents, and the teacher. Students are able to clearly articulate literacy learning goals to parents and to explain how they are travelling with these goals. Students can give examples and samples of works which illustrate their point. Student-led conferences in some schools can be highly scripted, which detracts from the nature of the conference. Therefore, teachers should ensure that there is room for some spontaneous conversation. Something to think about. This analogy is inspired by a quote from Dr. Dylan William. Let's imagine that a pilot flies in the same way in which some teachers assess literacy. A pilot jumps in a plane heading for Singapore and flies east for 8 hours, only to arrive at the wrong destination and say, "Oh well, I have to get to my next flight." This is the way some teachers assess. They would wait until the end of the unit to find out that the students hadn't learnt what they were meant to. Pilots are getting constant readings and updates about their positions, and they make adjustments as necessary. This is what authentic assessment and literacy should look like. We need to use assessment tools to inform our teaching, set learning goals, and conference with students about how they are going. Students should become their own teachers.